we speak. Okay, let's come back to matters here in the United Kingdom. And, well, if we're not talking about COVID, we're normally talking about crime, aren't we? It's fairly high and up the news agenda. And so a new government initiative in which they want to try and focus on improving safety for women and girls, tackle neighbourhood crime and what's called Build Back Safer obviously attracts our attention. Here with more details is Conservative MP and Safeguarding Minister Victoria Atkins. Minister, good morning. How much money are we talking about and where's it going?
Good morning, Nick. We are announcing the successful phase 2 of the Safer Streets Fund. That's £18.3 million, reaching 40 areas across the country to help them with tackling acquisitive crime, burglaries, robberies, and so on. This is in addition, of course, to the 20,000 new police officers that we're promising to deliver on, and we've delivered nearly 9,000 new officers already. But today as well, I'm launching the next phase of this money, which is to very much help tackle violence against women and girls on our streets. We know from recent events this year where women and girls have shared their stories of how they have felt harassed and frightened in our streets, that there is a lot of work to do. And one of the ways in which we're going to tackle this is through this fund, where we're using very practical measures to try to help women and girls feel safer walking around our streets.
And how are the areas determined, Minister?
Well, with this next phase, we want to be, frankly, pretty experimental. We want to encourage police and crime commissioners and local authorities to listen to the public. So we are working with the police on a new online map where people will be able to pinpoint where they feel unsafe. And then we will use this data as well as very targeted questioning of the public and charities that work with the public to find practical measures. So it may be in an area, it's a simple matter of better street lighting. It might be in another area that they want to introduce street pastas in the nighttime economy and so on. We're being very deliberately, very free about how local areas can tackle these problems, because we want to address the problems that women and girls in particular are feeling when they're out and about in their towns and their villages and their neighbourhoods.
OK, I'm grateful for that. Minister, you won't be surprised there are other issues we need to explore. You talk about addressing problems. It would appear your government's got a problem on its hand in that the man who was put in charge of helping lead the recovery package for our schools has decided to quit because Rishi Sunak or whoever has not delivered enough cash. Why is that?
Well, we're extremely grateful to Sir Kevin Collins for his work on trying to help children and young people catch up after this pandemic. It's been a terrible year for us all, but there's been a particular price that children and young people have paid, not just in their schooling, but of course in day-to-day life as well. And so Sir Kevin has made a list of recommendations. We have announced this week a further £1.4 billion of funding to really target.
Well, you say that, Minister. It's a half-hearted approach. It risks failing hundreds of thousands of pupils. How can you keep a straight face, as you said? You've got to find more cash, haven't you?
Well, we've been very clear. The Prime Minister's reiterated this yesterday, that this is just part of our programme of work to help children and young people catch up. So last summer, we announced £1.7 billion, which dealt with offered a range of measures to help children, including, for example, holiday learning and holiday schools, but also, importantly, tutoring, one-on-one tutoring. And the evidence on the one-on-one tutoring is really significant. It can help boost catch-up levels.
What's the attendance level of those tutoring sessions, Minister? What is the attendance level of those tutoring sessions?
I don't have those figures, Nick, but what I do know is that they've been shown they can have an impact of up to 3 to 5 months improvement in terms of catching up, boosting education. And that is why with this latest announcement, £1 billion worth of that is being focused on the tutoring schemes. We're going to be offering up to £100 million hours worth of extra tutoring on top of course, the normal school day. Right. But very much part of the programme of work, and we have very much heard Sir Kevin's plans or ideas about extending the school day, for example, and we are.
Is it the union's fault that we can't extend the school day, Minister?
Well, I don't want to start talking about fault or anything like that. I want to bring teachers with us. I know that, the teachers have had a very tough year this year as well. We want to bring teachers with us. This is why, as part of this week's announcement, we're very much investing in helping teachers train and helping early years practitioners train. But we've got to all join together and work together to really help address some of these issues, I think.
OK, just lastly, there is a whiff of rebellion, apparently, among Conservatives. Nothing new there, you might say, but it's said to be possibly the biggest Tory revolt since the election. This is over government legislation to force the Prime Minister to restore Britain's aid budget. It is thought that more than 30 Conservative MPs are ready now to back that amendment and to rebel. Are you a revolting Conservative MP, Minister?
Thank you, Nick. That's a new one for me.
Only in terms of political manoeuvring. For the love of all that's holy, you know I'd never suggest anything else, Minister.
Thank you. I fear that may follow me around. In terms of international development, we are, even with this reduction, we're still one of the largest donors of international aid in the world. Next year we will be spending £10 billion on international aid. But look, we've had a really, really difficult time with the economy, with the pandemic. We've managed to support 14 million jobs. We've managed to support businesses up and down the country. I know that, in my own constituency. But we've got to take some very tough decisions. And the Prime Minister has been clear that this is a temporary measure. When the fiscal situation permits us to, we will return to that 0.7%. But it's very much, we've got to take some of these very tough decisions given the situation of this dreadful pandemic. Who in 2019 could foresee the pandemic and the impact it would have on all of our lives from day to day? It's been one hell of a year, and we have to take some very difficult decisions as a result of it.
Grateful for your time. Thank you. Safeguarding Minister Victoria Atkins appearing here on LBC. We're at 1 minute after 8. We'll go straight to the news.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 8 o'clock. Ministers are due to decide later on any updates to the traffic light system for international travel ahead of the summer holiday period. The tourism sector is hoping some Spanish and Greek islands, Malta and parts of the Caribbean could be added to the green list. It allows people to travel to destinations without having to quarantine on their return. But there are concerns about new COVID variants, and Boris Johnson has warned countries could be moved the opposite way.
We will have no hesitation in moving countries from the green list to the amber list, to the red list, if we have to do so.